Welcome to our primary school athletics scheme of work. We're going to use this opportunity over the next 6 weeks to give children the fundamental movements that they need to excel across all sports, games and activities. This can also be used to help children prepare for Sports Day. Hi and welcome back everyone. We're going to look at how we structure together a medium-term scheme of work for primary school athletics. We're going to break each week down into 3 sections. The games, because that's why you're here. We're also going to look at the technical information as well that you can pass on to children to help them improve their performance. And then we'll structure it together in a competitive event so that we can either check for learning or use it as part of our Sports Day. Each week will be a different theme supporting the children's learning, and we'll do 2 different activities each week. So by the end of the 6 weeks, you'll have 12 events in total, 4 jumping, 4 throwing and 4 running. More than enough for any sports day. It's week 1, so let's jump into the first event and game. Our first event is the sack race. So let's look at a fun-filled game that we can play to help children become more competent and not end up like the lad at the back here. You're going to set up the playing area and then nominate one of the children to be the tagger. Don't worry if you don't have sacks at this point, the children can just put their legs together and jump. All the classmates then jump around the area, try and steer clear of the tagger. If you do get tagged, then you become the tagger. If you've just tagged somebody, then you're safe, you can't be tagged. So you'll only have one person that's immune per round, unless you have more than one tagger. This activity allows children to experiment with this new and novelty movement in a fun-filled game. As a member of teaching staff, we can also use this opportunity to reinforce the key technical points. Our first point is to reduce the amount of slack. Now children can do this by lifting up the sack and therefore reducing the amount of material at the bottom, less chance of getting their legs caught in it and tripping up. And our second tip is to ask children to land evenly. They'll have a tendency for over-rotating as they try and move forward, but this ultimately leads to falling over, which is neither efficient nor fun. And finally, ask the children to use small, controlled jumps. This allows them to stay upright, be consistent, and they can speed up the rhythm as they progress through the race. Whether you're using the event as part of assessment for learning or for Sports Day, you're going to need 2 children to help you out. The first child is going to be the referee, and it's their job to start the event. At the finishing line, then you're also going to have the judge, who's going to be watching, serving as the photo finish, to see what order the participants finish in. Once the referee says go, the race begins, and the children are going to use the key technical points to try and get to the finish line as quickly as possible. The judge is going to be watching at the finishing line and then calling out the order in which the children finish. You might even record the time, so that when children play again, they can try and improve on their previous record. Our second activity is the long jump, so let's look at a quick game before we move on to the main event. Children are going to start at one end of the area as you put down the finish line. Once you call jump, all the children are then going to make the biggest standing jump that they can. Now this is not your typical race. The children can only jump when you or another child calls the jump. So for that reason, whoever gets to the end in the fewest jumps is the winner. Here children are going to focus on the length of their jump and experiment with different trajectories. You can either play this game as a whole class or get the children to break off into groups of 4. And we can take the game one step further by having the winner start slightly further back so that they're challenged appropriately. In the starting position, children are going to look forward, bend their knees, swing their arms behind them and then start to lean forwards until they reach that tipping point. Once the children feel that they're going to start losing balance, we're going to ask them to extend their knees, jumping upwards at a 45-degree angle. Children are going to swing their arms upwards to give themselves even more height. Children are then going to bring their knees forward and pick a landing point. When they land, they're going to move their arms forward to help balance and bend their knees to absorb any impact. So how do we deliver this event or use it on Sports Day? Children are going to get into groups of 3 and have 1 role each. The child who's the referee is going to measure the length of the jump and make sure that the jumper's setting off from the correct place. The marker is going to take note of where the jumper lands, and the jumper, well, they're going to jump, obviously. The jumper is going to make the biggest standing long jump that they can, and then the marker is going to put down a cone exactly where they land. From here, the referee is going to move forward and measure the distance from the start line through to the cone, and then announce the distance, which should be recorded. From here, rotate the roles so that everyone gets a turn to be the referee, the marker, and the jumper. And that concludes the 2 jumping events for week 1. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope that you found this week's athletic scheme of work helpful. If you did, then please like and then share the video with anybody else that you feel would benefit from it. And as always, remember to subscribe so that you can catch next week's video. I'll see you then.